Welcome aboard, everyone, to another incredible episode here on Sir Boats Yacht.
I'm your host, and today we're setting sail on a journey through time with one of the most iconic yachts in boating history, the Chris Craft Constellation.
If you're passionate about classic boats, love the idea of cruising in style, or just want to learn about a vessel that's been a symbol of luxury since the mid-20th century, you're in the right place. This is going to be an in-depth exploration, covering everything from the Constellation's history and design to its performance, interiors, and what makes it a timeless favorite among boating enthusiasts. We've got a lot to cover, so grab a seat, maybe a cup of coffee, and let's dive into the world of the Chris Craft Constellation. Before we start, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an episode. We've got plenty more yacht reviews coming your way. Let's get started. Let's begin with a bit of history to set the stage for why the Chris Craft Constellation is such a big deal. Chris Craft has been a name in boating since 1874, when a 13-year-old Christopher Columbus Smith built his first wooden boat in Algonac, Michigan. Fast forward to the early 20th century, and Chris Craft was already making waves with its mahogany-hulled runabouts, selling to big names like Henry Ford and Frank Sinatra. The Constellation line first appeared in the 1950s, during a golden age for American boating, when post-war prosperity meant families were hitting the water in droves. The Constellation was designed as a luxury cruiser, a yacht that could handle overnight trips, family vacations, or even liveaboard life. Over the decades, it evolved from wooden models like the 1956 42-foot bullnose to the fiberglass giants of the 1980s, like the 500 Constellation. By the time Chris Craft ended production of its last mahogany-hulled Constellation in 1971, the line had already cemented its place in history as a symbol of elegance and craftsmanship. Today, these yachts are cherished by collectors and enthusiasts alike, and we're going to explore why they've stood the test of time. Now that we've got the history down, let's talk about the key features that make the Chris Craft Constellation so special. This yacht was built to impress, blending functionality with luxury in a way that few boats of its era could match. Depending on the model and year, the Constellation ranges from 32 feet to a massive 65 feet, with popular sizes like the 42-footers from the 50s and 60s and the 50-foot models from the 80s. One of the standout features is the spacious layout. Most models offer multiple cabins, sleeping anywhere from 4 to 8 people comfortably. For example, the 1986 500 Constellation often came with 3 staterooms and 3 heads, making it perfect for families or hosting guests. Power-wise, the earlier wooden models were equipped with twin gas engines, like the Chrysler 383s, while the later fiberglass versions upgraded to twin Detroit diesel engines. Think 6 volts 92 tush with 550 horsepower each in the 500 models. You've also got practical features for cruising, like a full galley with a stove, oven, and fridge, plus heads with showers and even air conditioning in some of the 80s models. Storage is ample, with plenty of cabinets and lockers for long trips, and the flybridge gives you a commanding view of the water. Whether you're planning a weekend getaway or a month-long coastal adventure, the Constellation has the features to make it happen. Let's move on to the design, because this is where the Chris Craft Constellation truly shines. If you've ever seen one of these yachts in person, you know they have a presence that's hard to ignore.
The early models, like the 1958 42-foot bullnose, were built with mahogany hulls, giving them a warm, rich glow that's pure vintage charm.
The lines are sleek and elegant, with a deep V hull that not only looks good but also helps with performance in rough water. By the 1970s, Chris Craft started transitioning to fiberglass, which you'll see in models like the 460 and 500 Constellations from the mid-80s. Fiberglass meant less maintenance than wood, but the design stayed true to the classic aesthetic. Think a raised pilot house, a wide beam for stability, and a flybridge that lets you soak in the views. The flush deck layout is a big plus, especially on the larger models, giving you an open saloon and aft deck that's perfect for entertaining.
Some models even have a hardtop over the aft deck, offering shade on sunny days.
The black and white color scheme, often accented with chrome or brass fittings, gives it a timeless look that still turns heads today. It's not just a boat, it's a piece of art that happens to float. Now, let's step inside and explore the interior features of the Chris Craft Constellation, because this is where you really feel the luxury.
Walking into the main saloon is like stepping into a cozy, nautical retreat.
On the wooden models from the 50s and 60s, you're greeted by rich mahogany paneling and teak accents, with handcrafted details that show off the skill of the builders. The large windows let in plenty of natural light, and you've got panoramic views of the water all around. By the 1980s, the fiberglass models updated the interior with more modern materials. Think vinyl upholstery, Formica countertops, and synthetic carpeting. But they still kept that warm, inviting vibe. The Galley is a highlight, equipped with a propane stove, oven, fridge, and sometimes even a microwave in the later models, so you can cook full meals while underway. The sleeping quarters vary by model. Smaller 42-footers might have 2 staterooms with double berths, while the 500s often include a master suite with a walk-around king bed, plus an ensuite head with a tub. There's even a den area in some layouts, which can double as an office or extra sleeping space. The bathrooms, or heads, as we call them on a boat, are compact but functional, with showers, toilets, and small vanities.
It's not the over-the-top luxury of a modern superyacht, but it's practical, comfortable, and packed with character, making it ideal for long weekends or even living aboard.
Speaking of living aboard, let's take a closer look at some of the specific interior spaces, starting with the bedroom. Imagine stepping into the master stateroom on a 1986 500 Constellation. You've got a spacious walk-around king bed with a plush navy blue mattress and crisp white linens, tucked against a wooden bulkhead.
Above the bed, there's a small porthole window with a brass frame, letting in just enough light to remind you you're on the water.
A brass lantern on the wall casts a warm glow, perfect for reading before bed, and a narrow wooden shelf holds a few books or personal items, like a miniature ship model. The floor has a small, patterned rug in shades of blue and white, adding a touch of coziness, and there's a tiny wardrobe with brass fittings for storage. It's a snug, intimate space that feels like a floating cabin, designed to make you feel at home even when you're miles from shore. Next, let's check out the bathroom. The head on a Constellation is compact but well thought out. Picture glossy white tiled walls with black trim, matching the boat's exterior design, and a small porthole window letting in natural light. The floor is laid with hexagonal black and white tiles, and there's a petite pedestal sink with a vintage brass faucet beneath a circular mirror framed in polished wood. A narrow shower stall with a glass door and white subway tiles is tucked into one corner, perfect for a quick rinse after a swim. A small wooden shelf holds navy blue towels and a few toiletries, like a seashell-shaped soap dish, adding a nautical touch. A single brass sconce lights the space, giving it a warm, cozy feel. It's not a spa, but it's got everything you need for life on the water, with a charm that's hard to beat. Now, let's head to the Galley, because every cruiser needs a good kitchen. The Galley on a Chris Craft Constellation is a compact but efficient space, designed to make cooking on the water a breeze. Imagine sleek white cabinetry with black trim, paired with polished teak wood countertops. There's a small stainless steel sink with a vintage brass faucet, and a narrow strip of black and white subway tiles forms a backsplash, accented by a tiny porthole window with a view of the sea. A 2-burner propane stove sits next to a miniature fridge, both tucked into the limited space, and there's a small microwave in some of the 80s models. Open wooden shelves hold white ceramic dishes, a few spice jars, and a vintage teapot, while a fold-down table with a cushioned bench provides a spot for meals. A brass pendant light casts a warm glow over the space, making it feel like a cozy diner on the water. It's the kind of galley that lets you whip up a hearty breakfast or a romantic dinner, all while surrounded by the sights and sounds of the ocean. Let's talk performance aspects, because the Chris Craft Constellation isn't just about looking good. It's built to get you where you need to go. The performance varies depending on the model and era. The early wooden Constellations, like the 1956 42-footer, often came with twin Chrysler 383 gas engines, delivering a top speed of around 15 to 18 knots and a comfortable cruising speed of 12 to 14 knots. These boats were designed for leisurely cruises, not speed records, and the deep V hull helps them handle choppy water with ease. By the 1980s, the fiberglass models stepped things up a notch. The 500 Constellation, for example, was powered by twin Detroit diesel 6V9 2TA engines, each producing 550 horsepower. That gives you a cruising speed of about 17 knots and a top speed of 19 to 20 knots, which is respectable for a yacht of this size. The wide beam, around 15 feet on the 500, adds stability, so you're not rocking too much even with a full crew on board. Fuel capacity is impressive, with some 500s carrying up to 500 gallons, giving you a range of 300 to 400 miles depending on speed and conditions. That's enough for coastal hops or extended trips without constant refueling. It's not a raceboat, but it's a reliable, steady performer that gets the job done with a smooth, predictable ride. Now, let's dive into the unique selling points that make the Chris Craft Constellation stand out from other yachts. First and foremost, there's the heritage. Chris Craft has been building boats for over 150 years, and the Constellation carries that legacy in every plank and fitting.
It's not just a yacht, it's a piece of history. The limited production runs add to its appeal. Only 29 of the 460 Constellations were built, and just 99 of the 500s, making them collector's items.
Owning one feels exclusive, like being part of a special club. Another big selling point is the combination of classic styling with practical livability.
Unlike some vintage boats that are more about show than function, the Constellation was designed for real use, whether that's fishing, cruising, or living aboard.
The spacious interiors and flexible layouts mean it adapts to your needs, from a couple's getaway to a family adventure. Maintenance is a consideration. Wooden models require more care, with regular varnishing and hull inspections, but the fiberglass versions are much easier to maintain, appealing to owners who want beauty without the constant upkeep. Plus, there's an active community of Constellation owners out there, sharing tips and stories online, which adds to the ownership experience. For anyone looking to own a piece of boating history with both character and capability, the Chris Craft Constellation is hard to beat. Let's take a moment to compare the Constellation to some of its contemporaries, because that really puts its value into perspective.
Back in the 50s and 60s, the Constellation was competing with boats like the Hatteras 41 convertible and the Bertram 31.
The Hatteras was known for its rugged build and sport fishing capabilities, with a focus on offshore performance, but it lacked the Constellation's elegant styling and livability. The Bertram, on the other hand, was a speed demon with a deep V hull designed for rough water, but it was smaller and more focused on day trips than overnight cruising. By the 1980s, the Constellation was up against yachts like the Hatteras 53 motor yacht and the Carver 42. The Hatteras 53 offered similar space and luxury, with beautiful woodwork, but it was pricier and often harder to maintain. The Carver 42 was more affordable and modern, with a focus on mass production, but it didn't have the Constellation's classic charm or build quality. What sets the Constellation apart is its balance. It's not the fastest or the cheapest, but it combines style, comfort, and reliability in a way that few boats of its era could match. Let's talk about what it's like to own a Chris Craft Constellation, because the ownership experience is a big part of its appeal. I've come across stories from owners on forums like Trawler Forum, where one owner shared that they've had a 1986 460 Constellation for nearly 10 years and have logged over 22,000 miles. They love the boat's classic lines and spacious layout, but they also mentioned that maintenance is key, especially with the older engines, which can be tricky to source parts for. Another owner on Yacht World mentioned that their 50-foot Constellation required a lot of winter upkeep, but the boat's owner also owned the marina, so they had a crew to handle it. For the average owner, you'll need to budget for things like regular engine checks, hull inspections, and occasional refits, especially on wooden models. The fiberglass versions are easier to care for, but you'll still want to keep an eye on systems like the electricals and plumbing, which can be dated on a boat from the 80s. The good news is, there's a strong community of Chris craft enthusiasts out there, and you can find plenty of advice online, from forums to YouTube channels like Captain Chris Yacht Services, which offers tips on everything from docking to maintenance. Speaking of maintenance, let's go over some practical tips for keeping your Constellation in top shape. If you've got a wooden model, the hull is your biggest concern. You'll need to varnish it regularly, think every 6 months to a year, depending on your climate, and check for signs of rot or leaks, especially around the seams. A good tip is to use a teak cleaner for the decks, as the natural oils in teak will help preserve it, but be sure to wipe up spills like suntan lotion or oil quickly to avoid staining. For fiberglass models, maintenance is simpler, but you'll still want to wash the hull regularly to prevent algae buildup, and wax it once a year to protect the gel coat. The engines, whether gas or diesel, need regular oil changes and filter replacements. Every 100 hours of use is a good rule of thumb. If you've got Detroit diesels, keep an eye on the cooling system, as they can overheat if the impellers aren't maintained. Electrical systems on older boats can be a headache, so check the wiring for corrosion and consider upgrading to modern circuit breakers if you're doing a refit. Overall, owning a Constellation is a labor of love, but with the right care, it'll reward you with years of unforgettable trips. Let's take a virtual tour of a Chris Craft Constellation, because I want you to really picture what it's like to step aboard. Imagine we're on a 1986 500 Constellation, docked at a marina on a sunny day. We start on the aft deck, a spacious area with a hardtop overhead, perfect for relaxing with a drink while watching the sunset. There's a built-in bench seat with cushions, and a small table for snacks or a game of cards. A ladder leads up to the flybridge, where you've got a captain's chair, a full set of controls, and a 360-degree view of the water. It's the best spot on the boat for navigating or just soaking in the scenery. Back down on the main deck, we step into the saloon through a sliding glass door. The space is bright and airy, with large windows on all sides and a U-shaped sofa that can seat 6 comfortably. There's a coffee table in the center, and a small entertainment unit with a TV and stereo system, pretty high-tech for the 80s. Forward of the saloon is the galley, which we've already described, and to starboard, there's a small dinette area for meals. Down a few steps, we reach the sleeping quarters. The master stateroom is aft, with that walk-around king bed, a small desk, and an ensuite head with a tub.
There are 2 guest cabins forward, one with a double berth, the other with bunk beds, plus a shared head with a shower. It's a layout that maximizes space without feeling cramped, and every inch is designed with both form and function in mind.
Let's wrap up with some ideas for how you can use a Chris Craft Constellation today.
One of the great things about this yacht is its versatility.
If you're into fishing, the wide beam and stable hull make it a great platform for trolling or bottom fishing, and the flybridge gives you a perfect vantage point to spot fish. For family cruising, the spacious interiors and multiple cabins mean everyone has their own space, and the aft deck is ideal for barbecues or waterside picnics. If you're dreaming of the liveaboard life, the Constellation is a solid choice. Models like the 500 have enough storage and amenities to make it a floating home, and the fuel range lets you explore new ports without constant refueling. Some owners even use their Constellations for charter businesses, offering day trips or sunset cruises to tourists. No matter how you use it, this yacht has the character and capability to make every trip memorable. Before we sign off, I want to hear from you, our amazing Sir Boats Yacht community. Have you ever been on a Chris Craft Constellation, or do you own one yourself? Maybe you've got a dream yacht you'd like us to review next. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's get the conversation going.
If you've enjoyed this deep dive, give it a thumbs up, share it with your boating friends, and subscribe for more reviews, tips, and adventures on the water. We've got plenty more coming your way, from modern superyachts to vintage classics, so you won't want to miss it. Until next time, keep exploring, keep cruising, and keep the waves rolling. Fair winds and tight lines from Sir Boats Yacht.